Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, come on in. It's that time again for us to get some inspiration, some motivation, some hope given to us, encouragement. That way we can use all this experience, other people's stories of triumph over tragedies to help other people in the future. Hey, today our guest, she said that her world just started crumbling all around her. She's like $140,000 in debt, losing her job. Her mom passed away. Husband decided to go do something else in life and with someone else. And she said at the age of 57, she was devastated, overweight, and lost. What was she supposed to do now? Welcome to the show, Patricia Love, author of Seen and Unheard. So, Patricia, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. It's
I like your book format.
The good stuff.
Yeah, I like your book format and everything like this. Sorry it's covered up your face, but I like it.
It's all good.
So, all right. So let's hop on in, and appreciate you coming in and sharing your journey, your story. That way somebody from today and 100 years are going to find this stuff, and you're going to help someone. So I appreciate you sharing your valuable time and your story and journey with us.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you hop in. I'm just providing a platform, and I'll ask some goofy questions every now and again. And you start off where you think you feel best.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, I will just kind of mention that, my work today, because of everything I've been through, is to ignite and empower women to stop being silenced, and to build their confidence and through finding their own worth and being proud of who they are. But I wrote the book, Seen and Unheard, because like so many others, I dealt with my own dark and silenced voice from actually a young child. And eventually that it starts to play tricks on your mind and affects your mental state. And because of all of this, it led up to at 57, everything just falling apart. So I'll kind of back up a little bit. When I was growing up, I was kind of one of three kids, and I was the youngest. So it was a big separation between the other two. But I was never encouraged. I was never inspired. I was pretty much on my own. All the thing that my dad would always say to me is like, you're to be seen and not heard. So it's pretty much, it's kind of like that old child who's like, look like the cute little girl, but don't say anything. And so this kind of stuck with me. And I even at 3 years old, I remember this being said to me. So of course, when I would always kind of keep silent, because I was boisterous a little bit. I was kind of like one of those children that liked to stand out a little bit. But because of that, I kept being told, you need to be seen and not heard.
Hey, I'm glad we got how you come up with the title of the book, because I like watching movies or even reading a book, and I want to figure out how they come up with the title. And so that's what way I am. So, so now we learned how to come up with the title of your book. So that's great.
Yeah, and absolutely. It kind of throughout my life was kind of that way. And unfortunately, when I was growing up, and also today, I see the same thing happening, that a lot of women are brought up to be kind of silenced or kind of second class or dismissed, or not, not step into their own confidence, because it's just kind of how things are meant to be, not meant to be, but they're it's how the images and the media look at us. And it's like, you got to be perfect. You got to be seen. You don't need to be heard. You just have to look good. So there's a lot of that even today I see happening. And so you see a lot of women feeling like they're not enough. They're not good enough. But, because they've been conditioned over the years to kind of stay in that second lane. And yeah, so for me, that's exactly what happened. But because of that, I didn't know how to empower myself. I didn't know how to do things. So in my case, I kind of gotten the rebellious teenager a little bit, and I kind of got into the 20s at, drugs, sex, and rock and roll, because I wasn't getting the love and the inspiration from my support of my family, because they just didn't know any better. But at the time, when you're a young child, you learn what you live. And that's what I learned, is to, just be tough, gonna keep moving forward, but, step back when the man is speaking, or when I'm told to, whether could be a woman too, but just kind of taking that second place. But a lot of it stems from the emotional aspect, because my father, and just to give you a good example, because I know a lot of people will have this, is he was unemotionally available. And when I say that, a good example for you is when he wrote his birthday cards to me, it would be, "Happy birthday, Mr. Jack M. Love."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not even dad, not even anything. So that just gives you an idea. And my mother was an alcoholic. So I was just being told, like, hey, go out and do whatever you need to do. Get out of here, basically. So I kind of just grew up that way, which led, of course, to many bad behaviors and not learning and understanding how to deal with relationships, because I was always buying things for people, trying to get their attention, to get their love. And so as you move forward in life, you wonder why nothing is ever really working. Now, I was really good at making money, but I was really good at spending money too.
There you go.
Okay.
I think that's a lot of us.
There's a lot of that. And, I kept thinking that, I'll just make more money, because I wasn't really taught or trained to do anything. I kind of followed in my dad's footsteps of being in the sales force. So I got into real estate and also retail sales. And, I was very good as far as I could wear that mask on the outside and actually just be this completely different person. And then when I get home, I'd be like, who are you? This is not what you want. You're unhappy. And, and so it was always putting on a mask, or that fake imposter syndrome, you might say. So going and moving forward, it was just continually, I would make money, lose money. I would have relationships. I'd get married. I'd get divorced. I was what they call a runner, because if everything wasn't perfect, I would run as soon as anything kind of weird came up. And because I just wanted that fairy tale, which I never had. And I just thought it should be out there, right? So what happened is at 57, when you think I was at my lowest part where no money was coming in. My mom died. My husband had left me for a younger woman. And like you said, I was 145,000 in debt. I was 50 pounds overweight. And I was just at this crossroads of what the heck I'm going to do. And it was one night, and I remember it was September, that I was drinking too much. I was having a couple martinis, and I was laying on the floor crying, like, I cannot do this anymore. Because the real estate industry in 2008 and 9 totally, took a dive. So that money was not coming in like it was before. So I was literally about a month away from not having, a roof over my head. So I was just in panic mode. And weirdly enough, and I don't know what your listeners are think of, but I am kind of more of a energy and universe, and some people might call it God or whatever. But I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, this energy came over me. I mean, literally, it felt like heat, and I felt this coming up through me, and I could hear this: "You cannot give up. You've got to keep going. You've got to take your power back." And in that moment, I knew I had to do something, because I had a purpose, because I had to do something. And these 5 words actually came to my mind, and it was acknowledgement, forgiveness, mindset, accountability, and perseverance. And later on, I added gratitude. But I wrote those words down, not even knowing why I wrote them down. And then as the weeks kind of went on, and I decided to take my power back. And I will tell you this wasn't easy. I'm not going to tell anybody this is easy. Like, oh, one day I just stood up and everything was great again. No, I had to do the work. I had to realize that I was good enough. I had to realize that I could do this, and that I had to acknowledge my faults, acknowledge my negatives, acknowledge, that maybe I had a play in these divorces, rather than playing the victim, if you might
Mm-hmm.
say, So it's kind of where it started. I mean, then I had to forgive. I had to forgive my parents, because they just did what they knew, right? They have their own stories, and when I found out about their stories, I'm like, oh my God, of course this is the way they were.
That
You know,
explains everything.
it explains everything, and it I had to forgive, and I was sexually abused also in my 20s, and so I had to forgive those people who I didn't even know. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of forgiveness that had to go on, and I know a lot of women and men find that hard to do, is forgive. But I want to say something is, you can't forgive. You don't need to forget, because you're
Yeah.
forgiving for yourself and not forgiving because of them. You're just, because they don't know any better. And I don't know what their story was or what they were going through, because everybody has some kind of story. But I knew that only anybody was going to fix anything in my life, it had to be me, because I was always thinking that money would fix it, a man would fix it, something would fix it outside of me. And I realized, no, this is not working. I got to get off this hamster wheel. And I finally did it. And unfortunately, I was 57 at the time, 70 now, but it was the best thing I ever could do. And it's a continuous journey. It's a continuous work.
Oh,
But
yes.
I live in so much more peace, knowing every night when I come home that I've done what best I could. And sometimes I get triggered, but I have to realize that I have tools now to kind of work through those triggers and to move
Mm-hmm.
forward, because like I said, it's an ongoing journey, and I continue to grow. And that's what keeps me going, is I continue to grow. I talk to people, and my purpose now is to help other women to build their own confidence within, so that they can feel good about moving forward, and knowing their worth, and knowing that they are good enough. Because every day, society can just, knock us down. And we've got to realize that we are the ones that can pull us back, but we have to believe in ourselves.
Yes, and the list that you mentioned a minute ago, uh, you know, it's very relatable for a lot of people, and especially me. One is, you take accountability. You're finally discovering, like you said, you thought a man was going to fix this, or money could fix this, or whatever it's going to do, and then when you figure out again, well, I spend more than I make. The you can't be a guarantee that the man's going to hang around. And then of course you said, like, looking for that fairy tale life, which is very rare. Would expect, and
That's
so
right.
out hunting for that instead of being acceptable, for things, and then goes to the gratitude.
Hmm.
Being thankful for what I have. If I can get other things, I'll be even more grateful as well. But if I don't get it, I know where I'm at. I'm at peace where I'm at, and grateful and thankful for it. And of course, with the show here, perseverance, not giving up. So,
Exactly. And perseverance it's a big one. And I want to give a little tip here for some people that are listening is, people go and it's like losing weight, or trying to change their life or whatever. And then they move forward about 3 weeks, they lose some weight, or they move towards, being a better person or whatever, what their choices, what they want to do. And then they fall back because they don't have that perseverance. Suggestion is, what I did, and is I wrote out my why, because that day in September, I was so down. I was on the verge of, do I kill myself or do I move forward? And it was more or less, I needed to find out and write out a why. Why did I never want to go back there? Why didn't I? So I wrote out my why so strong, and I keep it with me, and I periodically look at it whenever I feel like I'm slipping a little bit or going backwards a little bit, or, those triggers kind of come in. I pull this out and realize, oh my God, that was the worst day of my life. I will never go back there again. And I make that why so deep that I cry almost every time I read it, because I
mhm.
never want to be in that place again, because it was so dark. And there is so much life if we really look at it, things in a different way. I have a really favorite quote from Wayne Dyer: if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And I got to live by that a lot, because even in circumstances come up and, you're trying to figure out what to do. I say that quote like, wait a minute, let me try to look at this thing from a different perspective. And because life can be beautiful, it's always going to be ups and downs. I like to say that life is a beautiful struggle, but at least I'm here and I know I help people. And if I can help just one person, that makes me feel good. And I know I've helped hundreds and thousands of them over the years, but it just makes me feel good to know I've done that.
One of my quotes that I use, I know you listeners are tired of hearing it, but you're going to hear it again today. One of mine, Patricia, is sometimes we have to walk through fertilizer to smell the roses. So
I love that.
So that's one of them. And so another thing is, the people, people tell you to look for the silver lining on the clouds, on, the storms, and
Right.
look for the light.
Rainbows,
and the light at the end of the tunnel. But I add a little bit on the light at the end of the tunnel. When you know that light's not a train coming at you, then you know you've made it through there. So
that's a good one. I like that one too. Yeah, it's just about perspective of looking at things and realizing that nothing will be perfect, because there is no perfection. And people need to realize that this won't be the perfect world. There'll always be things, but what I realize that there's certain things out of my control, but there are things in my control that I can control. And if I control those, like paying my bills and like opening up the bills, that was a start, opening up those bills and realizing I can control this one baby step at a time. And, and you think if you just keep moving forward like a turtle, you can do things, but realize that you may take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's okay.
That's okay, because you're still one in the good.
Exactly. We're still one up there. So, but even if you took 2 steps forward and 2 steps back and you didn't get anywhere, you know what? At least you didn't go backwards. And even if you did go backwards a half a step or whatever, it's okay, because you can still take a step forward.
Even if you do go backwards 10 steps compared forward to, what did you learn from the experience?
Absolutely.
And that way you can avoid that next time, hopefully.
Well, and that's the key too, is really taking a breath, you might say, and stopping. I find that the people today and young kids and everybody, they're on a hamster wheel. Everybody's on this wheel and they're going so fast, and with social media and everything, which is, it's really great in one aspect and really bad in other aspects.
Oh yes.
That you have to take a breath and step off to be able to center yourself. And I don't mean meditate and be like the guru, because a lot of people hear that word meditation and they go, oh my God, I can't do that. I'll never be a monk. But I call it quietation. Where you just get quiet with yourself, step out, go to into the bathroom, take 5 minutes so you can see where you are and take a breath. And it's amazing. The more you do that, the more you want to do it. And that's when all of the good stuff starts to come out, and all your creativity and all this thing going, wait a minute, I can do this. And so it's, you just have to kind of, learn about who you are. And be okay with it, because you're a miracle. You're fabulous. You're unique. There's nobody else like you.
I was going to use unique. You're a unique specimen. So.
Absolutely. We're snowflakes. None two look alike, even though when they're coming down, they look similar. But we're all snowflakes. And I'd like to get that across to listeners, to understand that you want to move forward, but realize that it is going to be work. And I don't like to lie about that. It's work to keep moving. I work every day towards being the best I can possibly be. But I can tell you, it's so much more peaceful and abundant now that I got through and I moved forward and paid off the bills and lost that 50 pounds and, and have money in the banks and have a roof over my head, and very grateful for what I do have, and not having the expectations of having to have more. The expectations that I am good right now. And it's amazing when you do that, it opens up many more doors.
And then you said, I did all this without a stinking man beside me.
That's right.
There you go. I'm all for it now. I agree with you.
You got to have your own money, your own self. And then
there you go. Now, I agree with you 1,000%. And I hear too many stories of these women with low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And again, it's the way they're brought up.
It's the
Okay.
way they're brought up, and
Their environment they're
there are
around.
some men out there that do unfortunately put you down, and but they have their own little stories, and they don't always know they're brought up to be that strong, guy and whatever, because it's a sign of weakness if you're too kind or do whatever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But women are also need to be a little stronger. They don't need to be arrogant and confident. They just need to be assertive and feel good about themselves. And then when they find a spouse or a significant other or a man or whatever, that's an additive and not somebody that's going to take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a partnership when that becomes beautiful.
Oh, yes, yes. Working as a well-oiled machine. So I really like the part that you mentioned about forgiveness. Now,
Yes.
let's go a step further. How much do you think in forgiving yourself is involved in this as
That's
well?
on the list. That's one of the first things on the list, and is forgiving yourself, because we always are constantly we're so critical of ourselves, right? And we do stupid things sometimes, and you got to forgive yourself for the big things and the little things. It happened. Forgive yourself. You're not perfect. You're human, and move on. And those 5 words, I actually, to this day, besides coaching with them and coaching women about them, I go through these 5, 6 words actually every single day at the end of the day. What do I need to acknowledge? Do I need to forgive something? Did I do something? Do I need to forgive something? How is my mindset? Was it good, bad, or could it use some improvement? Accountability. Was I accountable? Did I finish what I said I was going to get done today? And did I persevere? Did I take a step forward? And then, are you grateful? And what are you grateful for today? And honestly, when I do that, it's, of course, when I first did it, 12, 15 years ago, that was a huge list. Okay?
Yes.
Very big list. And now typically I can run through in about 2 minutes, right? Because it's short, but I do that. It keeps me on target, and it keeps me moving forward. And I'll do the same thing tonight. And it makes me feel at peace when I go to bed, and I can sleep well, that I did everything I possibly could do. And if I need to do something different, I'll improve it tomorrow.
How big do you think with accountability that having a support system for you?
Well, huge. And I'll tell you, here's one of the things that, and actually I'll talk about it later, that I am actually doing. But when I was going through this, being accountable to yourself is very important. Obviously, you want to be accountable because unfortunately, sometimes your friends, and in my case, I didn't really want to tell my friends anything. I was too embarrassed at the time. I wasn't ready, right? So I was trying to go through this stuff with still a smile on my face and everything. But but they're also busy. They also have their own stories. They also are going through their own stuff. But if you can find a support group or somebody to talk to, or somebody that's a mentor or something, it is very important to help, keep you accountable, but also encourage you. I didn't find that. I couldn't find that, 12 years ago. I was looking for things, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. And if it was out there, it was too much money because I didn't have any money. So I was caught in between something that, well, I need help, and I couldn't find it. So I had to work on it alone myself, and start to build my own village. And I kind of built it through Facebook and a few things. I think accountability and having a village, if you can, is very important.
Yeah. Having a village, again, to help support each other, and, to build the prospects to encourage other people coming in the future.
Absolutely. It's so important, but also reminding yourself that if they're not able to come to you, or you don't have that support group, it's okay to be accountable to yourself, because sometimes you just have to. That builds confidence in your own self too. And I find if you check off things that you've done, it also gives you some kind of a celebration, and that's being accountable, because you got to be able to celebrate yourself also when others are not around you, because you don't want to play that victim, well, there's nobody around, and oh, well, my God, I can't tell anybody. So be happy for yourself and be accountable to yourself also.
I like the checklist, like you mentioned and everything from there. But I started going a little deeper than just the checklist. I would put the date when something big happened,
Yep.
and that way I can go back and say, wow, I did accomplish that, and I did it 9 months ago. And because we're going to forget those things unless we write it down and go back and review it. But again, I like start putting dates on
Well,
when things happen.
that's a great idea. You know what? I always try to recommend people to make it fun. To when you're learning and growing, to make things fun. So sometimes I'll ask people, or what I did is I actually got a bowl, and I actually did some post notes, and I start writing things that I did do, that I accomplished, and inspiring thing. And I put them in a bowl. And when I kind of got a little bit, sad, I'd pull out something, but putting a date on it's even better. And saying, "Oh my God, I did do that. Oh my God, celebrate!" So we do forget. We forget all these things, and we forget how great we were.
Yeah, and the possibilities how great we're going to be in the future. This Our mind is so wired from when we're born that we learn that when we are negative, we get what we want. As a baby, I'm whining and crying because I need my diaper changed. All right, I'm whining and crying because I'm hungry. I'm whining and crying because something's making me hurt somewhere. All right,
Right.
and so as a baby, we learn something negative gives us something positive, and so as we get older, we got to change that whatever positive we need to make sure it's in our head to get the negative out. And it takes a lot of work and training to be able
It
to accomplish that. And don't think it's never going away 100%.
No,
It's
it
going to
never
pop.
does.
Yeah, that negativity is going to pop in. But as soon as you notice it, do something to get it out of there quick.
You know what? And that's what's so important is that people think like, oh, well, she's a coach, or you're on a podcast, and you've gone through all of this, and look at them now. We work at it daily. This is something you work at daily. I get triggered, and sometimes I wake up, I'm like, oh God, I want to do this, type of thing, or I'm not good enough again today, or something. But knowing that trigger, and when you do that quietations and start listening to yourself, you'll hear that trigger, and you go, wait a minute. And then you find something that makes you change your mood. And what mine is getting up and dancing, is turning on something to
Okay.
rock and
Yeah.
roll, or
Yeah.
it just, I dance to James Brown, like I feel good, and it
James
just gets
Brown.
you out of the mode.
Yeah. 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 See, I tell other people, of course, I'm in a wheelchair, so I don't think about dancing, but I tell
But you
people,
can still dance and move
well,
around.
exactly, exactly. I had that what's called the white man overbite dance. We're biting on our teeth.
I love it.
I do the white man overbite dance. So, but I tell other people, think about when this negativity pops in. Think about your firstborn. Think about all your kids being born. Think about the touchdown that you scored to win a game.
Yeah.
Or something that brought great joy to you. Reflect back to that to get you back in that mood again and continue your life.
Well, you
When
know what? And
something
also,
when you get that I'm not good enough stuff, you did something accomplished that was great.
yes,
Go back and draw from that experience and use that to continue on.
absolutely. Or if you just want to keep it really simple, and if you have a pet, just look at your pet, and they look at you, and they cock their head, and then you can't help but get you out of in a good mood,
I
because
tell you what, yeah, dog, especially my dog, I got he's a service dog,
right.
Ricardo, and you can't be in a bad mood with him around. There's
Well,
no
I
way.
don't have a dog, but I have a cat, but she does such crazy things all the time that I'm like, oh my God, she's happy. I should be happy, and they just make you smile.
And I
So,
tell you,
look
yeah,
at
yeah,
your
well,
pet.
I got a cat as well. His name is Spud. And so, but yeah, I tell people like, we over, we're the most intelligent creatures around on this big ball of dirt. But we overcomplicate some of the simplest things in life, you
We
know. Oh,
overcomplicate, we overwhelm ourselves, we overthink everything, and we
I,
just need to
I,
keep it simple.
Well, and I tell this little short story. One day I used to be a school teacher, and I was driving and going to work, and I just got there and missed a dog getting hit by a car. But there's a
Mm.
couple of people on the side of the road, and I saw the dog, and you tell he was paralyzed in the back end, and he was dragging himself to get off the road, and other people helping. Now, again, I don't know what happened to the dog. I don't know if someone took him to the vet and got him fixed or put him down. I have no idea. But it made me think, here we are so complicated, and all he wanted to do is survive another day. Get off
Sure.
this daggum road. Don't get hit by a car again. But what do we do? Me, spinal cord injury. Oh, poor pitiful me. And then it take 5 years to get over my depression and everything. This is me.
Right.
And, but we want to overcomplicate instead of learning to live as fast as possible, and which I teach people the ABCs. A, as soon as we can accept our adversity, we can start healing and moving forward. B, begin battling. That's finding the support system. Other people's been through it, get their ideas. And then C, conquer the challenge. And
Love
so
it.
that's what I teach from there. But yeah, like you said, animals, they're the greatest thing. They'll bring it to you. Yeah, they teach you what life is really like.
You know what? If you look at them and watch them, I mean, they stretch. I was looking at my cat the other day. I'm like, okay, look at her getting up and stretching and thing. I said, maybe I need to do that. So it's like you can learn so much from them if you actually take the time and pay attention. And it's like paying attention to yourself also. Pay attention to who you are, and you'll learn a lot. And when and you're going to really start liking yourself. And when you start liking yourself, you know what? It's your life gets better. Everything gets better when you start liking yourself.
It doesn't get perfect, but it gets
No,
better.
never perfect.
That's right. Never perfect. The fairy tale life never comes. And saying rarity, it may, depending on whoever it is might find the fairy tale, but it's rare. But again, perfect, no. We just try to have a better life and go forward. And I'm really big into helping the next person along the
Absolutely.
way, and then educating them how they could do things, and let them be in charge of helping the next person in line. So
Absolutely. And I think it's just, if you can remind yourself to just paying it forward 1% at a time, it does generate lots of energy. And it'd be amazing if we could all do that and just be good to one person, and that person says, I'll be good to another person, or kind or whatever. It does work because we are all energy. Everything is energy. And, it's kind of like when you walk into a room, where not to go because you feel the negative energy on that one side of the room or something. So you go to a more positive side. So this is way it is. And so we listen to ourselves and realize, we got to stay in the positive energy and go with the positive energy as much as possible, and if you can do that, your life will emerge in a really great and good way. And again, never perfect, but I wouldn't want perfect. Then,
well,
you know,
yeah. Excuse me, but yeah, I was just listening as you was talking about that, about the positive, negative stuff. Is Zig Ziglar? I'm
yes,
paraphrasing. I don't know exactly the quote, but paraphrasing that, he says, even though he's positive, doesn't mean he has a perfect or great life, but he knows it's better than being negative.
that's right.
So
That's right. That's right.
again,
And
I'm
we
paraphrasing.
know firsthand that negativity doesn't get us anywhere except for on the floor a lot of
Yeah,
times, crying and being in a very dark place.
and always whining, why me? Why
Exactly.
me?
And
Yeah.
that's when you have to go, well, why not me? Am I so great? Why not? You could use that the same way as if you want to be successful, and then the biggest of something, and then you go, I can never be that. Well, why not? You can. So it's all the way you look at things. And I changed my words about a lot of things. Like I say, I choose now to do things, or I get to do things, and
Mm-hmm.
put the more positive spin on it. It's like, I get to go to the store. Some people don't get to go to the store. For
So
instance,
true.
you're in a wheelchair, it's like, I get to get up and take a walk. And, because not everybody can do that. So
Well,
people need to realize there's other people that are hurting out there differently, and you get to do something, and you should be happy about it. And it gives you a better feeling within yourself when you say, I get to go. I get to do this. I choose to do this.
yeah, and going about you the perspective that you take, okay, could be totally different to someone else, but they could still feel like they're the most blessed person around. For example, one day it was, I don't know, 98 degrees where I live, outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm in my air conditioning van in a wheelchair, and I'm going, and I see some people out there walking on the street. And I said, man, am I so blessed that I'm in this car during, but they're liable to go, man, I'm so blessed to be out here in this nice hot day, and I'm walking down the road where I'm in the wheelchair. So depending on how you view things, may
It's
not be
all
how
perspective.
somebody else view. It's their perspective and how they view from there. Yeah.
Well, it's like that Wayne Dyer quote. If you look at the way you change, look at the things you change, you can change your perspective on things. So it's just being aware. You know what? I think it's being aware and acknowledging, like we talked about. And it's if you can do that, again, your life can really change. And you have to want to. You have to be wanting to
Oh,
do something.
exactly. Yes.
You
You
know,
have to want to
it's like
change.
I coach women, but sometimes they're not ready to be coached. They're just not ready. And, we have to be willing and wanting to make a change.
Yes.
I believe that making change your friend is important. So I embrace change now. In fact, I get comfortable with being uncomfortable with change because that's what life is. You just have to learn to pivot and shift and go with things. And when you do, instead of fighting everything all the time, it flows better. Everything flows better. You don't have the expectations. You don't have your life lives in much more of a peaceful when you can kind of flow with change and make change your friend.
Yes. Yes. Well, Patricia, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm sorry some of the stuff you went through in life and everything, but I'm glad I've got to meet this Patricia Love, so positive, upbeat, loving life, and willing to help other people. Okay, I believe
Absolutely.
those things. They say do one good deed for the day. And if everybody can do just one good deed, everybody this world will be a better place. So. And then, of course, there's them overachievers. They got to have three things done in one day. So, but
And that's
that's
fine
okay.
too.
That's even better. That's right. And so, because they'll make up for the day I forget to try to do something. So, all right,
Absolutely.
Patricia, yeah, I'm glad I got to meet you today, not years ago. If you want to go ahead and tell us how we can find your book here again, Seen and Unheard: A Little Girl's Journey from Silence to Empowerment. Patricia Love. You can tell us how to find you, your web link, any social media.
Absolutely. Well, first off, you can go to Amazon.com to get my book and Barnes and Noble. And also you can go to patricialove.com and also get the book. Or you can follow me on Instagram, which is the best place with Coach Patricia Love. So do that. And also I have a new app that I just launched a couple days ago called Confident You. So it's what I have brought back to the world from what I didn't have, the mentoring and the accountability. And it's a free download at Apple or Google Play. So go to Confident You on Apple or Google Play, download it, and you're actually going to get the free 5 points and go through the audios with those acknowledgments and forgiveness. And so you're going to learn a lot. So I wanted to make sure I could help other people. That was important to me.
Amen, sister. I really appreciate all that. So, all right, Patricia, we know that there's people hurting, and I'll take this information and put it in the show notes to make it easier for people to hunt you down.
Thank you.
Again, if the old Google search Patricia Love, and that'll get you to most places. But I'll go ahead and put into the show notes so people can just click on them and get you there a little quicker to you. So, hey, Patricia, we know there's people hurting and struggling today. If you could leave us with a positive message, that'd be a
Yes,
blessing for us.
absolutely. The first thing I would definitely say is be willing to change and just take baby steps. Don't don't try to overwhelm yourself. Make a change one half a step at a time or whatever. And then once you do that, make your mess your message so that you can help others. Because honestly, we're just all diamonds in the rough, just waiting to be polished up.
Amen. Yeah, don't go out. You don't have to go out and run the marathon right off the bat, but start running to the end of your driveway and back, and then build onto it until you get that marathon. So,
That's right.
hey, I've seen multiple cars, people that's run the marathons. They got them stickers 26.2. Is it 26.2? Yeah, and and there were 13.1 for half a marathon, and
Yeah.
so I want to get a sticker that says 0.0, so and put on mine. So, all
Perfect.
right, Patricia. Hey, I really enjoy again meeting this Patricia that I didn't meet the one age 57 and younger.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
she
I'm
wasn't
glad
too bad. She was just a little confused.
I understand, but this one I can tell is more positive and happy
Absolutely.
in life, and so I'm glad I got to meet you for that.
Well, thank you for
Everyone
having
else,
me.
yeah, thank you. Everyone else, that be sure to share this out. You get some laughter, get some humor from listening to Patricia, and share it out to someone else you know that can use some laughter, humor, some education, some hope, encouragement. So, hey, I'm Dr. James Purdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.